All right, I'm just going to, on the Zoom screen, I'm just going to put up a logo just momentarily. There we go. That wonderful mute button that I've always had trouble with in the past. So, okay, we will go ahead and get started this evening. Welcome to the 2021 Red Oak ISD School Board Candidate Forum. This Red Oak ISD Candidate Forum is presented by the Red Oak Area Chamber of Commerce, as well as the Red Oak Area, or Red Oak ISD PTA, Council of PTAs. I'd like to introduce my co-host this evening, Miss Melanie McKinley, to say a couple words.
Hey. Good evening. We're glad that you could be here, and we'd like to get the candidates to speak to you, and we enjoy doing this. So,
Yeah. All right. Right now, we're doing the last couple clicks of buttons to make sure that everything is posted correctly for everyone, so that those people in our community will be able to tune in live. And that's the goal of this forum this evening, is we want the folks of our community to be able to participate with us. We're still obviously working through COVID protocols and different things in our community, but we wanted to make sure that you heard the voice of the candidates themselves and get to hear their opinions and their goals for our school district and for our children ultimately. For this year's the candidate forum, we do have 4 candidates participating, 2 from place 6 and 2 from place 7. And at this time, we will go ahead and introduce those folks. First, from place 6, running for a 3-year term, we first have Miss Michelle Porter. And Michelle, I'll allow you 1 minute to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Porter, and as Clint alluded to, I am running for re-election of place 6. I'm happy to be here with you this evening. A little bit about myself. I am a certified occupational therapy assistant. I love my job. It is definitely my calling. I am a mom of a very energetic 10-year-old, currently at his baseball game right now. So apologize for any background noise you may hear, but duty calls. So I'm also a volunteer at his school. He attends Wooden. I'm on the PTA there, where I serve as parliamentarian and the PTA. I'm also involved in his Red Oak Pee Wee Youth Football, where I'm a board member for that. And I'm on the Lady Hawk Varsity Booster Club. In my spare time, when I have any, pre-COVID, I enjoy traveling. I love to be with my family, and just spending time with them makes me very happy. I believe that I'm an open book and I'm very approachable. And so I hope that the people that I've met thus far feel that way. And I welcome anyone to approach me at any time. You usually see me somewhere in the district doing something. So please feel free to come up and introduce yourself. I enjoy meeting people. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Also running for a 3-year term in place 6, we have Mr. Ernie Amaton.
Thank you. I'd like to say thank you to the Red Oak ISD Council PTAs, and thank you to the Red Oak Area Chamber of Commerce. Also, a big thank you to those that are joining us here today, knowing that this election and these decisions matter for the students of Red Oak ISD. My name is Ernie Andrew Amaton, and I am running for the place 6 seat on the Red Oak ISD School Board. My wife and I have been married going on 19 years, and we moved here to Red Oak in 2004. I once proudly served as the middle school AP for Red Oak ISD for a couple of years. My wife, Belen Amaton, currently serves as the teacher at Red Oak Elementary, or as a teacher at Red Oak Elementary. We have 4 beautiful children that attend Red Oak ISD now. Emery, who will be a junior this upcoming school year. Naima, who will be moving to the 7th grade middle school campus. We then have also Mario Andres, who will be a 6th grader over at the 6th grade campus, and my little princess Bea, who will still be at Red Oak Elementary with her mom. As you can see, I joke around because I say the Amaton family does their part for ADA with Red Oak ISD. But as an educator myself, I understand the meaning of being elected as a school board member. My purpose for running for this position is to have the opportunity to work with other board members to help establish a vision for our schools. By being a part of that team, it's our responsibility to set and maintain an effective and efficient organizational structure for the superintendent and its administrators, for them to be able to manage and lead our schools, teachers to teach, and students to learn. So I look for the support for Place 6 and Red Oak ISD School Board.
Running, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Wonderful mute button, of course. It is live, after all. Running for Place 7, running for a 3-year term, is Miss Melanie Peterson.
I'm Melanie Peterson, and as he said, I'm running for re-election to Place 7. My husband and I both graduated from Red Oak High School many years ago. I have a grandson that is at the middle school right now, and a grandson that graduated last year in 2020. I've served on our school board for 5 years, and I've been honored to be elected by my fellow board members as secretary for 2 years, and I'm currently serving as vice president on the board. They also elected me to serve as our representative to the Texas Association of School Boards Delegate Assembly last year. I enjoy volunteering, kind of like Michelle. That's where I spend most of my time if I'm not with one of my grandsons. So I belong to many organizations here in Red Oak, such as the Red Oak Lions Club, the Senior Citizens of Red Oak. I'm the vice president of the Red Oak High School Alumni Association, and I'm also a lifetime member of the Red Oak Council of PTAs. I try to volunteer with the foundation, with the Education Foundation, as much as I can. They have some great service opportunities, and they do a lot for our district. So serving on the board to me is one of my favorite ways just to give back to the community where I grew up.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Appreciate it, Melanie. And last but not least, we're also running for Place 7 for a 3-year term, is Dr. Gregory Kimball.
Well, I am not the fugitive. But anyhow, I'm excited to be here. First of all, I want to say thank you to the Red Oak Chamber of Commerce, to the PTA, and to all of the candidates that are seeking election. Serving is always an honor. Serving is always an honor. I've always had a commitment, to serve. First time I raised my hand when I was 18 years old, and joined the Texas National Guard. I had a career as an Army officer. Later, I was commissioned through the ROTC program at UTA. So service has been my life, my commitment. And, having to serve my country, ever since then, I've looked for opportunities to serve in my community. My wife and I have lived here in the Ovilla community for about 8 years now. I love children. I love young people. I'm excited about young people, and I always see them as our future. When I see the potential of young people and to nurture and to develop them. And I bring I have a counseling practice. I'm a licensed professional counselor, supervisor, and national certified counselor. I bring years of experiences as writing policy. I'm a policy nerd. I understand research, data, large, complex budgets. So I have a unique skill set. And I understand how to solve complex problems. That's all I've done in my life. But now to be able to bring it into a greater context, and that is to serve the community. And that's why I'm running, in order to help our young people excel.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for everyone's comments. We appreciate the candidates for their candor and look forward to what our community is in for. We're looking forward to the next few years. So some housekeeping things that we would like to discuss first. Early voting will take place between April 19th and 24th, as well as April 26th through 27th. Dates and times will vary. Please visit the Ellis County Elections webpage for more detailed information. Election day itself is on Saturday, May 1st from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Voters may cast their vote at any voting center location during early voting and on election day. Again, visit the Ellis County website for additional information. We will now get into the questioning portion of our candidate forum this evening. And for that, we will actually break into two groups. So these first sets of questions will be for place 6 candidates. And the format is each candidate will ultimately be asked 2 questions, and the other candidate will be having a chance to rebut on each of those questions. So ultimately, they're answering 4 questions, but half goes first and the other half goes first. So it's one of those where everyone gets their chance in each place to answer these questions. So place 6 candidates, Michelle Porter and Ernie Amaton. Let's begin. Michelle, the first question is for you. And again, I'm randomly drawing them. These questions are provided for us by the Texas Council of PTAs. Michelle, your question. What is your view of school board / administration's relationship as they relate to management of school district operations?
Thank you for the question. I was making sure I'm unmuted, sorry. So my view on the relationship with operations management is that of cohesiveness and communication. Communication is going to be key with any board to work with any entity so that things can go smoothly. We always seem to be able to come to a reasonable understanding. Thus far, I haven't been on the board long, but it seems like it works very cohesively if the channels of communication stay open and we stay open-minded to any changes that may need to occur and things that will arise that we aren't even aware of. So we always want to be open-minded, have a good line of communication, and try to always be proactive and looking forward to what is going to possibly come down the pipeline instead of being reactionary.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your answer. Mr. Ernie Amaton, you have 1 minute to respond. Oh, you're muted, sir.
Thank you. I think we can all and should all agree that first and foremost, the role of the board and administration is to be an advocate for the success of all students. How we do that is really the issue at hand. The board is elected and placed with the responsibility of not only of hiring and firing a superintendent, but to assess the superintendent of his or her performance. We also establish and set policies, budgets for the betterment of our district, and we entrust in our superintendent as well as our administration to implement and adhere to those standards. I think the expectation of us as a board must be clear, concise, and hold all management accountable, and that's even including ourselves.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your answer. The next leading question is for you, Mr. Amaton. So this question is, how do you feel about the Head Start program and how should it be funded?
How do I feel about the Head Start program? Head Start programs were designed to help break the cycle of poverty providing EcoDis children with the opportunity of participating in a comprehensive program to meet the various needs of our kids. I think HB3 implemented an early education allotment, as well as there's grant funds for districts. So that's the funding piece in regards to it. But it's also to offer that full day high quality pre-K program. I'm an advocate for these programs because they lay the foundation for our students, especially at the early age. And that's definitely as far as something that we need to look at as far as within Red Oak ISD in order to build for the future, especially with our students that we have and the programs that we offer to them.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Porter, you have 1 minute to respond. Oh, you're muted.
I'm sorry. I am, of course, for the Head Start programs and pre-K programs. Anytime that you can do early interventions, you have a better chance to set kids up on a path of success. Federally funded money comes for Head Start. And because the legislation has changed, pre-K is also a part of school and curriculum. So that will be funded in that way. Red Oak is very good at the pre-K program. We have half days, and now we are offering as a district full days. So I hope that parents took the time to read their emails and get those kids on applications in and get them registered so that they can take advantage of that full K pre-K that Red Oak is offering now.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Porter, the next question is for you. The STAR test is a requirement. All students have to pass this test in order to graduate from high school. What resources would you commit to ensure our student success?
So I feel like additional resources need to be given to that of the high school because it is a requirement for graduation. I think it's very vital that we make sure or ensure that our high school kids are well prepared. We've got the teachers, and now we just need to make sure that we have all the resources that they're going to need to get those kids test ready. And that may be in the form of after school, early mornings, weekends, and if we need to find money somewhere to make sure that those educators are paid, then we need to do that, because if the state of Texas deem it that important so that students may not graduate, then we're going to have to look at that and make sure that we're doing all that we can do to get those kids test ready. If we don't make it a priority, then for the teachers to be prepared and make sure they have the correct resources, then it's not going to be a priority for the students, and then that's going to trickle down and we're going to have a bigger issue at hand. So I think it's very important that we make sure that we give resources as far as financially if they're necessary.
Thank you. Mr. Amaton, you have 1 minute for your rebuttal.
I actually want to look at this from another perspective. I believe our focus should be really on the needs of our staff. Anything that we can provide to administration and teachers would have a direct impact on our students. Being in education for nearly 20 years, I'm fully aware that if we can buy all the resources that a school would want, but it's the training to implement those resources that I would like to ensure that we have. If teachers have the professional development of the training within those resources that are needed to be efficient, then I know that that's going to be a step in ensuring the student's success.
Okay, thank you. And the last question for the Place 6 candidates, Mr. Amaton, the question begins with you. What is your view of homeschool, private schools, and charter school students participating in extracurricular activities in the public schools?
Well, just like we have home, private, charter schools participating in other areas such as academic test, whether it's testing like ACTs, SATs, ultimately this provides public schools and students the opportunity for more competition. I'm always in favor of competition. One of the things that I would say is as long as the criteria has been met under UIL regulations, I'd welcome the opportunity for us to always measure where we stand, whether it's academically or through extracurricular activities.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Porter, the 1 minute for your response.
I think we can just need to make sure that it's regulated. Parents have the choice if they want to have their child in public school, private school, charter schools, homeschooled. And when you make the choice, that's what's best for your family. You're making that choice. So if extracurricular activities is something that you want from that school system, then your child needs to come in and do it as a public educated system. I'm a product of the public education system, and I'm very proud of that. But each family, luckily gets to make the choice that works best for their family. So I think that it should be looked at as a privilege. It's our right as a public entity to have those things. And if you're not in our school, then that's might be something that you're sacrificing. But luckily nowadays, there's so many extracurricular activities outside of the school district that people can participate in.
Okay, thank you. And thanks to both of you for your candor and your answers to those questions. We will now shift to the candidates for place 7. Mrs. Peterson, Dr. Kimball, it is your turn to answer some questions. And the first question will go to you, Ms. Peterson. How do you see Red Oak ISD responding to the competition of charter schools and private schools? You're muted.
I'm on now, huh?
Yep, you're on.
Okay. Well, I'm not real sure that we're actually in competition. I think charter and private schools give parents an alternative to public schools because they're looking for something different. And I believe Red Oak ISD offers a high quality public school option for the families that, like Michelle said, that like the atmosphere of the public school. So it's kind of a hard question for me because I don't really see that we're in competition.
Okay. All right, thank you. Dr. Kimball, you have 1 minute to respond.
Okay, I have been doing a lot of walking to community engagement. And as a therapist, I always try to find out the symptom to get to the understanding what the root problem of why people are leaving for charter schools and private schools. And I've heard a lot of parents that have told me that they're opting to take their children out of Red Oak ISD for charter schools and private schools. And I began to ask the question, why? And, so the question about competition, it comes down to the needs. You have to really understand the needs. So there has to be a very thorough understanding of who the stakeholders are. And parents are stakeholders, the children are stakeholders, Red Oak ISD are stakeholders, the communities are stakeholders, the PTA is stakeholders. So when you look at competition, you have to understand that if persons are taking their kids into charter and private schools, that is a symptom of something. So you have to better understand why. What is the root reason why? So then you have to understand, is a different need being met there?
Okay.
So I take a different approach.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Kimball. The next question is yours. In the face of declining resources, what projects do you foresee for the future bond elections and projects?
Well, eventually, I worked for a hospital system one time, and they were buying property that they were looking to build. It was Texas Health Resources. They bought the property in Midlothian 15 years ago. So eventually you have to plan for your future. That when you look at the demographics and the growth patterns, eventually there's going to have to be a high school, a second high school. It's not if, it's when. So then you have to begin to plan for that now. So that would be a potential looking at bond election for the future growth of Red Oak. It's not if, it's when. So the planning has to begin now.
Thank you, Dr. Kimball. Mrs. Peterson, you have 1 minute to respond. And you're still muted.
I think I'd never done this before.
That's okay.
Well, I agree with Dr. Kimball that our community is steadily growing and we will need more schools at some point. But right now, our biggest concern is the middle school. It's our most crowded school, and we will have to address this through either new buildings or renovations, and probably not in the too distant future. But we'll also have to look at renovating and possible additions at the elementary campuses, just based on the projected growth for now.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that answer. All right. Next question is for you, Ms. Peterson. Mrs. Peterson. What is your position regarding self-esteem and self-worth education programs?
Well, am I muted?
No, you're good. You're good.
I think that it is very important for children to be, for that aspect to go along with education, because some of our kids don't get that at home. So at school is when they are told you did a good job. They might not hear that any other time during the day. So I think it's very, that's one of our major things we need to work on.
Okay. Thank you. Dr. Kimball, you have 1 minute to respond.
Well, I definitely agree that self-esteem, I'm a therapist. So I really understand self-image, self-identity, self-esteem. So you look at the demographics of the district. So therefore you have to put in the curriculum certain programs. The Texas Essential Knowledge Skills already has mandated in section 113 specific courses that should be taught in social studies, that you have to take a look at that. That impacts self-esteem right there. So you have to take a look at curriculum that embraces self-image and self-esteem. It has to be put in the curriculum itself.
Okay. Thank you. And the last question for the evening, Dr. Kimball, you get the first chance to respond. How important are fine arts and extracurricular activities, such as athletics, to an overall total education? And how should they be funded?
It's very important. It has to be funded through the district budget. There's a lot of ways to take a look at budget. Ultimately, there are scarce resources, but athletics bring about school pride itself. I remember I played football in high school, and it does bring out school pride. It just does. So athletics is really important. So you can't take a look at going short. It brings out not only school pride, but community pride for the greater Red Oak area. So athletics is important, and that's very important. So you have to figure out a way how to keep the athletic, but not only athletics, but the academic that goes with it. We need scholar athletes.
Okay, thank you. And Mrs. Peterson, you have 1 minute to respond.
I think that the fine arts and the extracurricular activities are very important in the overall development of the student. It exposes them to other students with similar interests. And I think they should be, mostly should be funded through the general fund, because we're molding the whole child. And I think academics should be the priority in funding, but I do believe funds should be dedicated to the extracurriculars, not just athletics, but theater or arts, band.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Now, we have come to the end of our questioning portion of the candidate forum, and we will move into closing procedures. So each candidate will have 2 minutes to give their last remarks, and of course, why we should vote for that particular candidate. So we will go ahead and start right back at the top. Place 6, Mrs. Michelle Porter, if you'd like to give your closing statements.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the chamber, and thank you to the Council of PTAs. Melanie, you've done this for, I think, that I've known 3 times. And so thank you so much for giving of your time. And thank you to the other candidates for just making the decision to make the sacrifice to volunteer and be a part of the school board. And that's very important. I think that everybody know that this is a lot of work. And if you're willing to step out and make that sacrifice, then I can completely respect that for anybody, because it takes a lot of time and a lot of dedication to serve on the school board. So real quick, I've had some people ask me why I'm running again so quickly. And so I just want to quickly explain that my initial running was for a special election, and it was a 1-year term. And because of COVID, that election was moved. What generally was going to be May, it was pushed back and postponed to November. So the 1-year term turned into a 6-month term. And so that's why people feel like I just elected you and you're running again. So I still need your support, and I still need those votes. And so I'm grateful to have been put in this place just 6 short months ago. But I'm here again, and I'm running for a 3-year term. And I hope that thus far that people have seen that I've served the district well, and that I'm willing to continue to give of my time and make the sacrifices that need to be made. It's all about the students, and that's important to me. My child is in elementary, so he's got a lot of years to be in Red Oak. I'm very proud to be in the district, and I'll go ahead and say this too. I'm very proud to have been the first African-American elected to school board in Red Oak. I wear that high on my head, and that's an honor that I take with a lot of pride. So I'd like to thank the voters who voted for me, and I'd love for you to come out and vote for me again. And I'd love to have that vote from you to be continuing on the school board in place 6. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Porter. Mr. Amaton, you have 2 minutes for your closing statements.
Okay, thank you. Again, thank you to the Council of PTAs. Thank you to Red Oak Chamber of Commerce as well. Thank those board members or the candidates that are here tonight. I'd also like to give a special thanks out to my wife and my children, friends and family that have pushed me as far as to do this. I'd like to close as far as with saying this. The decision we have to make is going to impact the board for the next couple of years. We obviously have some exceptional people to choose between. What I do want to say is that I once served in the capacity of as a Red Oak ISD employee when I was the AP at a middle school. And I'd be honored to serve again, to serve my community, our students, our district. Only this time it's going to be in the capacity that truly can have an impact on all of us district-wide. I ask that when you do go in to make your decision, whether it's in early voting or as far as in the May election, that you consider as far as to follow your heart and decide what's best as far as for our district. I ask that you vote Ernie Andrew Amaton for place 6, Red Oak ISD School Board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Amaton. And we will move to place 7. Mrs. Melody Peterson, you have 2 minutes to give your closing remarks.
Well, I just want to say that I'm running for re-election because I truly love Red Oak ISD and the Red Oak community. And I hope to have the opportunity to help make our district the best it can be. I want our schools to hold on to our traditional values, but continue to soar to new heights by keeping up with the latest technology and hiring the best teachers and staff so that we can provide the best opportunities for the students. And our theme this year is Hawks Unite. To me, this means our community is growing, and our students, our staff, and community members, we may all be from different areas, different parts of the country, or even different parts of the world. And we may have different beliefs or opinions and outlooks on things, but we're all Hawks. And that's the whole point of our theme, Hawks Unite. Everybody that lives in this community, we're Hawks, and we're going to stick together. That's it.
Thank you, Mrs. Peterson. I appreciate your comments. And last but not least, Dr. Gregory Kimball, you have 2 minutes for your closing statements.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Okay. Golly, you know I'm a preacher. You can't give a preacher 2 minutes.
I have a mute button I can use.
Senior. So I've been with them as they come through the system at Red Oak. I love children. I love young people. I'm passionate about young people. I've seen the suffering of young people all over the world, some of my deployments. And it brings me to tears. And the theme of my campaign is Together We Can Achieve. And the tenets of my campaign are diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we can unite. And we've got to come together. And, you know, this community is growing. And I would just be delighted to serve. That's all I've ever known since I was 18 years old, is serving, 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 serving. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for everyone's comments this evening. That is the conclusion of our Red Oak ISD candidate forum this evening. We want to thank our participants this evening for all of their hard work. And of course, the charge is now to you, the members of our community. This information is out there for y'all to use to your disposal. But the most important aspect is it is time to vote. And we ask that each and every one of you take that opportunity. It is a right that we are given, and we should not take lightly. It shapes our community. It shapes our future. And we know that there are many things that we have to look at as far as the school board is concerned, whether it be size, whether it be programs. There's so many different things to look at. And so it is important that you make sure your voice is heard and your rights are exercised. Again, we want to thank the candidates for their candor this evening and their comments they had. There are some great, interesting points that were made. I also want to thank my co-host this evening, Ms. Melanie McGinley from the Red Oak Council of PTAs, Red Oak ISD Council of PTAs. And so on behalf of the community and the Red Oak Area Chamber of Commerce as well, my name is Clint Woodward. Thank you all for joining, and we look forward to seeing you out